One. We've got bookings that's available in enterprise subscriptions. We have Yammer invites to groups and networks that send out emails to get you engaged. And there's also a few things that were not in the Office 365 Message Center that may need to be. This is Office 365 Message Center, the week that was. All right, I welcome to this Office 365 Message Center, the week that was, where we review the week of announcements in the admin portal. Dan, you're just cracking up, mate. We discuss the things that were announced and mentioned and some things that weren't announced. Now, if you catch the show every week, this is when we try and do it. However, this episode is pre-recorded. We are going to be joining you live. Yeah, we'll be joining you live in the chat, but I'm just doing a few things that week that make this a little bit more convenient. Make sure you do click and subscribe and click that bell so you receive the alerts when we do go live, and we are still working on a way to get an email into your mailbox so you can get it into your calendar. I'm Daryl as a service, and as always I am joined by Daniel Glenn. How are you?
I am doing well, Daryl. Coming to you from Nashville, Tennessee, Middle Tennessee, the home of the tornadoes. Yes, we had a tornado today in Middle Tennessee. With a lot of wind and some hail, so it was a little bit exciting and not a good way today. So I'm safe and everybody's good. But
that's good.
Yep.
I actually did a slow-mo film of some hail bouncing off my trampoline this week, and then I thought, yeah, it's pretty cool. It's actually captured this piece of hail that bounced off up and then got hit by another piece of hail coming down, which looked pretty sweet. But then I thought, man, this is nothing compared to the hail that might be falling in your region when you have something like a tornado. How big do they get? Like stone size?
It depends. Yeah, pea-sized all the way to, there's been, I haven't seen any, but there's been some baseball size hail just west of here a little bit. But anything like quarter size is, a piece, US quarter size.
Yeah.
Maybe for me, but yeah.
So yeah, as I said, this is pre-recorded, but we are sitting in the chat, the live chat, when we push this out live, and I'll be pushing it live from a hotel in Hamilton as I get ready to do some work for a customer down there. So yeah, we're cheating a little, but we're going to be experimenting a bit with some pre-recorded content. So if you're joining us live, do drop in some questions, and we'll be typing up some answers. However, we won't be able to verbally answer. Right, so this week, let's get our message center on. There we go. We've got a few messages starting at the bottom. We've got, well, look, we actually have two tiles in
yes, we do.
major updates. Let me actually share this so you can actually see it. It would always help, won't it?
No, we're people should follow along when they watch the show. So it should be when we describe it. We're just going to have to describe it really well, and they're going to have to follow along. Yeah, show it, please.
So we can break it out and make it into a podcast.
Yes.
Brilliant. Yep. Yeah. Two tiles in the major updates. I guess we should start there, or just at least salute to it and say there are two things there that you are going to see in the list as we work our way up.
Yes.
Cool. All right, so coming on through, Microsoft Bookings.
Yep.
This is a service that had been released for business premium subscriptions, and there was such an interest in it for the enterprise subscriptions that they have made it available to E3, E5, and was it A3 and A5 for the education space as well.
Yep. So I think this was the first time I saw this. I want to say it was in Seattle, maybe.
Okay.
And you were there, no. So I think when we saw some things, and I think it may have just been slides. It wasn't even a real product yet. And the question immediately was, when do we get this? And it was like, well, this is for the those business subscriptions, and it was like, well, I want to have it too in my enterprise. So even before I think they started development, there was some MVPs that were saying, hey, you're probably going to get some calls to make this available to enterprise. So and it happened, which it often does, when we see cool stuff and we want it. We being enterprise. If so, this is one of those. I think it's a good feature. A good ability to kind of. And you were talking about some of the kind of uses for it. Being able to kind of book time for people, but it's. You do have to get the business apps add-on to be able to get it. That's free, but you have to add that to your subscription to be able to get this. So, but
yeah, that's right. So from a small business perspective, it had initially been envisaged and shaped for those who are in the service industry, the hairdressers, plumbers, etc., booking time into your calendar, just to be able to book a job.
Do you go to the hairdresser that often?
I actually do my own, man. It's a bit overdue, but yeah, I've got the whale clippers out, and I do it, sort of G.I. Joe style.
It's all good.
Yeah. So yeah, being able to set up services, prices against the customer lists. So I guess what they're originally building it for didn't really fit that enterprise space, but the use cases that they're suggesting are that when you've got department kind of chargebacks and booking time for certain services and people, that it's kind of one level higher than just booking some time with someone in their calendar. You're saying, as a team, here's a pool of people that are available, here's my staff, here's the things that we do, and you can go in and book that time and expose that shared bookings calendar internally. So and I think that could be useful.
I think it could be. This is, I believe, a kind of a service, a point here that people will hack. Not hack as in crack it, but hack as in hacking life. They're going to use this with and do things with it that we really can't imagine right now. I think we're going to be not blown away, but I think it's going to be like, oh wow, you're using bookings to do that. And like I think for large organizations, you can use this for things like training. If you have a training staff that you want to book to have come and do training on a particular product or something, you can use this to say, I'm booking somebody or I'm booking that training, and then someone just shows up and delivers it to you or whatever. I think there's just going to be a lot of stuff that we're going to say and go, ooh, that's pretty interesting. So.
So make use of that additional information link because it will take you through to setting up bookings and show you how to do that. Like you said, you've got to liven up a license and assign it to the people that are going to be using the business apps service. And business apps service suggests that there are going to be other business apps added, don't they? Potentially. All right, moving on up, we have an announcement that was Intune related for me, so we'll skip over that.
Skip that.
We have the Message Center major updates. Now, I just want to have a look at something here. Yes, there is a major update card for the major update center.
Yes, and we made note of that when it became, when it was first released, right?
Yes.
Have they switched to calling it target release? I don't know.
They should do. Because they're beginning to talk about it as targeted release instead of first release.
But it's being still said. See right there, 100% of first release organization. Anyway, what I really like about this, and to be honest, I hadn't really paid attention. Well, I had a little bit, but if you go back to the message center, so if you'd close this.
Sure.
You'll notice it says underneath it, general availability started. And I really like that it's not just a new feature, message center major updates. And you have to figure out, okay, I like that we're having that subheading, that it's telling us a little bit about, because if I had seen this, I would have been, wait a minute, I've already seen this, right? So I'm looking at this and going, oh, general availability started. That's great. Now, I don't like the one over to that way, which I don't know. Anyway, I don't like where it just says announcement. Okay, I'd rather have a byline or something, not a byline, status. But a little status of what in the world's going on, so I don't have to,
So I can click on it and go straight through to it.
Yep.
I can also close it off. Can I? Yes, I can. There we go. It's gone. In fact, it's just dismissed the whole message from the list as well. So be careful as you do that. But we kind of looked at it in an earlier episode, and it's basically what we're showing you right now. The card that draws your attention to what is deemed as a major update. Again, we've got to talk to Brian Levinson and his team about what is deemed as a major update.
It's just what they fancy being in. I don't know.
So we have another one, interesting one. Yammer feature, yeah. And we talked about this just before the show. It is a tactical thing to make sure that those who have been licensed for Yammer, added to Yammer, and you are starting to use it internally, they may have been invited to the network, your internal network, and also to groups, and maybe that group has an announcement that has been made in that group to say, hey, welcome, etc., and discussions are beginning. This announcement tells us that pending users, those who have not come in and actually joined the Yammer network yet but have been receiving the invite, will now begin to receive email notifications to say this is an announcement, this is a message, this is something else, to start to bring you in to say, I want to hear about it. What are your thoughts on that, Dan?
So that's interesting. So I'm a user, and I have been invited to Yammer. Either I just haven't done it yet, maybe I'm on vacation, or I really don't care. I don't know. So what you're saying, Daryl, is that I'm going to start receiving emails whether I jump in or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so that's I don't need more email. That's kind of why I didn't jump in Yammer. I'm not a social being. This is hypothetical, by the way. So I don't want to in Yammer anyway. So how do I unsubscribe, Daryl? What do I do to unsubscribe?
You can. That's right.
Oh, I can. So I just click a link and it unsubscribes me. I just have to click and that's it, right? Is that what you're saying?
So clicking on that link will guide you through to completing your Yammer profile.
No, stop. So what you're saying, Daryl, is that for me to unsubscribe from these emails for a service that I don't want to be a part of, maybe it's just I haven't got to it yet, but maybe it's a service I don't want to have anything to do with. To unsubscribe, I actually have to use the product.
Yes, you do. Yeah, you have to go in and tweak your notifications to say I don't want that notification.
Okay.
Yeah, that's okay. But
say what they did there.
And it makes sense, and about getting you to engage with the messages. And if the organisation has decided to begin to use it in the background. And we'll see other things coming up where Yammer can be used and you will be soaking in it, but you won't necessarily know. The embedded Yammer web part for providing the discussion engine for certain SharePoint pages and sites. But this I think is one of the key ways that they're going to try and at least get people on the platform engaged and ready to make use of those sorts of web parts. The unsubscribing part is definitely a process you have to go through.
Well, and I think all that I was just being kind of tongue firmly placed in cheek. I think if your organization is deemed Yammer as a resource and to be used, then it's well within their right for you to be receiving emails whether you like it or not. I mean, that's just so, and I think if you're using Yammer for things like communications from the top down, like your head of HR is giving information about employee engagement and wants some feedback and wants some communication. Well, they don't want you out of it, so they're going. You're subscribed to it, and there's a reason why, because you're an employee and you must. You at least are getting the information. If you go and unsubscribe and go through that process, then okay, but I can see it. I can totally understand it, and so I was just kidding.
I know. You know, I mean, I know that there's mixed feelings about Yammer, at least in the technical community. But when you've got
way
Yammer
outside,
embedded
not
as a web
us.
part, and you not necessarily know that you're soaking in it, you probably want to know when you've engaged in some kind of opinion or discussion on a page about some piece of news or content, and someone's responding to your reply, and you want to be engaged in that. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's cool. That's cool, and we'll see more of that later on. But anyway, we'll keep on moving on up because there is some other cool stuff that we wanted to talk about, which we
yes,
noticed. Compliance Manager Public Preview, and this is where you can go out and use the Compliance Manager Center to, as an organization, check to see how compliant you are. You had a good point about this, Dan, where you've got while Office 365 is the platform, there are many different platforms in there. And so if you want to be compliant in each of these platforms, there are certain things and best practices you need to put in place if you've enabled services. Now, you did an interview with Liam, didn't you, a little ways back with SharePoint Saturday?
Nope, that was IT Dev Connections,
Oh,
and
yes.
we were in San Francisco, and so Liam Cleary and we sat down and talked a little bit about some security stuff and compliance, and GDPR was really a lot of that focus. Learned a lot from that conversation, and so I think for we won't revisit all those topics here. I think maybe we stick a little thing
That's right.
there.
Yep.
So click that,
Let me
people,
just
if
make
you
that.
want to see the
This
interview
corner right there.
right there. If you want to see the interview with Liam, talking about some and really having implications with what was coming with Compliance Manager. But if you have any sort of responsibility of making sure that you're compliant, which should be all of us, then you really need to check out the Compliance Manager. So
Yeah, I like that when you run through this, it's going to give you places to improve and check marks and give you a rating and suggestions. It does break it down between the responsibilities that Microsoft have and what you have, and it will show that Microsoft is compliant against the standard. However, here are some things you need to configure, and there's also a place where you as an individual, rather, you're not an admin, but anyone can go in and kick off this compliance process, and I think see how compliant you are. Is that how it plays out?
Yeah, and I kind of want to go back to and I want to go back to what you said though about how, Microsoft lays out how they they comply, and then how you need to comply. And this is again something you need to check out, that recording, that interview we did that I did with Liam, because something that I hadn't really thought about, I hadn't put it together, is the onus is on you. It's not on Microsoft. Microsoft is going to be compliant with what they're going to provide you the tools. You have to use them in doing it. So, again, this is important. We're not going to spend on this, but I just feel like this is important. And so get used to it now with the public preview. Play around with it, get familiar with it, because you're going to need to use it. You just are to kind of look it over all the systems and all the services and figure out where you're compliant or not. I mean, you're just going to need it.
I do remember that was one of the main points that Liam pointed out. So yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Very good. There was another Intune thingo. The final one on my list was create custom site themes in SharePoint Online, and this harkens back to a blog post around the same time as Virtual SharePoint Summit, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it was. So that was August, I think. So this is cool theming. Being able to do some additional color changes and such with the site, and I like it. And I think I talked a lot about it when it was announced.
Well, you actually mentioned something relevant too, that some organizations are really quite they really hold theming highly, so highly that one customer that you had wasn't keen in using Stream because you couldn't theme it.
Yeah, I mean, there's so typically, in my experience, you work with IT people, and they're like, yeah, let's use all the cool stuff, and and in this case, it was, yes, of course we'll use Stream. It's got this fantastic functionality. It creates these closed caption. I mean, it does all this cool stuff, right? But then when we set up the site and set up the homepage, it's a Valo homepage, and we've put Stream in videos in there. They click on it and it takes them to Stream, and they're like, this is great, but where's the coloring that from the top in the Office suite bar, and where's the logo that we have in the center? And when I click on the waffle menu, the app launcher, it doesn't even launch an app launcher. It launches a separate page. It actually takes me to the the main Office 365 deal. So it's not to the apps. It shows you all the app, that landing screen.
Yeah.
So
it would wander into that and have a look.
Yeah. So for an and this wasn't even end user. This was just business user. They're like, this is great, Daniel, great service, but now I can't get back to my intranet. Now, to get back to my intranet, I have to click that, but now it opens up a new tab, so it's not even an app launcher, and then it brings me here. Like, that's not cool. That's not, and so this is not Stream is not an integrated service. I mean, we want to say it is, but it's not. I mean, this is not. I think there's plans to make it that way, but not anytime, not in the next month.
I
for our launch.
actually see other hints of that too, even at an authentication level, where if I share a Stream video into a Yammer post, or I think even into a Teams post, that you go to view it and you're actually prompted to log into Stream. So there's this second authentication level. So some work definitely to do there.
Yeah, and Stream's not the only one. So anyway, so theming is important for organizations. That user experience, UX, of when I'm going through, and I start here and I click here and I go here, I need to be able to get back, and I need to be able to navigate to my other items. I mean, that story needs to be there. And so theming is good. To help the users navigate this solution that you've created.
Hey, there was that's our end of our messages, but there's something else that we wanted to spend a bit of time on that sort of really created an interesting discussion, didn't it, in the community?
A little bit.
Yeah. So this is something that maybe should have been in the message center, maybe not. It seems to be
not maybe,
enough.
Daryl.
Yeah.
Not maybe.
Not maybe?
Not
definitely?
Maybe. Yes. Definitely.
Okay. Because we have seen similar announcements. And what I'm referring to is, let me go and jump into the post that I created. Did anyone else see something that looked a little something like this? Well, how would you describe...
I did.
That you did? You did?
I thought.
Anyone else? I'm sure that there'll be mad typing as people are in the... Yep. I didn't know about this. I know that there's constantly changes to the UI, but I thought, I want to dig in and find out what that is, because there is this other one which I knew about, this little icon that says you can share a document and use that button at the document level in your library, but I didn't know what this little icon was, and so I started this discussion. And this is what the tech community is for, isn't it? I could have gone, no, I'm too proud for this, I should know this.
Yeah, Daryl, you have an MVP next to your name, so
you
should know everything.
Yeah, no, I'm quite open to asking questions and being told and figuring stuff out. So thank you, Peter Veenstra, for pointing me in the right direction. You did say that it's about recently created documents, recent as in the last 2 days. So I did sort of ask a little further. Where else do we ask questions about what is this? Where else do we share our observations, Stan?
Well, I only do it on Twitter. I mean,
Only
that's
on
not
Twitter.
I don't only do it on Twitter, but so Matt Wade did. He was like, "What in the world is this? Is this a new item icon that's a replacement?" Because and so
He's
Twitter
making
is this.
sure that we see which one he means. Like, it could
Lots
be that
and
first
lots of-
one, might be that fourth one.
Love it, Matt. So I saw this and I went, oh, I know exactly. I've seen that. So I had uploaded some documents, dragged them onto the page, right, in SharePoint and in SharePoint Online. And that indicator was there, and I'm like, maybe that's like a ghosting or a, that how you get the little pinwheel thing that goes as it's doing something. That's kind of what I thought. Maybe it was that, and just it got stuck. And then Drew came along and said, it's the new item indicator, and he gave us the blog post in the tech community that referenced it.
Should we go there first before we go back and talk about the other thoughts about what it was?
Oh, no, I think we should wait.
Okay.
And then I said what I just told you, that it's like it got stuck, and then they were like, wait a minute, that's exactly what we're thinking. And so if you keep scrolling, there were some reactions, and I like that.
Definitely. You can't. I love that one there. You can't unsee it. He's washing his eyes out.
Now that you've said it, Daniel, that it looks like it's been uploaded. Yeah. And then, but Drew, he took the cake. Okay. Drew says at the very end here that he took the Yammer icon and did this to it. And he's exactly right. That little eyelash. So if people look at that Yammer, you know how the little eyelash is the speak out loud. I think that's what it's supposed to mean for the Yammer. And then you look there, and then let's scroll back up. Oh wow, you're zooming in.
Oh no, I put a photo over it. Darn it. Anyway, go back.
So
to
there
that.
it is.
So, eyelash.
Now scroll back up. Scroll back.
Eyelash.
Look, there it is.
Eyelash. So, in fact, if you go back to our cool little GIF there of Unseen, he's probably washing his eyelashes. So, good observation there, Drew, and pointing that out. Some other ideas. I don't know how 007 got into that.
Well, I said Microsoft Ilm, and I said in 6 months Microsoft is going to say, "Surprise! You've been using Yammer this whole time."
Yeah. And the other one that I thought it was, and I think if I click somewhere else in the thread, you'll see that. I thought, is this an indicator from the library end that this file has been clicked on and turned into a file on demand? And so I've clicked on it. It's coming down. It's not I want it there permanently. It's one of those files which may or may not return back into the library. We probably don't need an indicator for that, do we? Nah.
Yeah. But I think, so go scroll back up, I guess, and click on the
blog post.
Yep, there's the blog post. Right. So there's this new item indicator which replaces the new. We've had a new item indicator for a long time. So we've got the new item indicator, but we also have another indicator, and there's for me the stay informed on what's popular indicator, which is really long name for the little squiggly that looks like a stock graph. So what do you think about that, Daryl?
It's good to know that file is popular. And I think in earlier versions of SharePoint, even SharePoint on-prem, there was this, people are clicking and seeing that file. We did get some indicator of that. But can I do anything with that? Can I click on the icon or the picture and see, if it's popular, how many people have viewed it today? What time of day is it popular? If I really want to get into like clicks and web capabilities.
Needy. This is an MVP product. This is a minimal viable product. I do the same questioning of, well, that's great. It's popular. What's your definition of popular? How many people have seen it? What's going on? But what I wanted to point out, and what we talked about, is this blog post.
Yep.
So
let's have a look at the date.
I saw it in SharePoint first, is where I saw this. So 10/10. So no confusing which is the month or the day, because it's October 10th. So that's a month prior.
Yep.
But Stephen Rose posted this, but it says beautifully useful, introducing a new look for OneDrive.
Yeah, that's right. It's in the OneDrive blog.
Not so. If you're a SharePoint person, how many blogs do you have to pay attention to? Daryl,
Yeah.
how many do?
Yeah, there's a lot to pay attention to. I like that they have brought many of these blogs into the tech community, and I know that there was some struggles with getting some of this news out in a timely fashion in blogs.office.com, because that's really a marketing site, whereas this is freer to be able to get deeper into the technical, have technical discussions and get more out there. What I have done for myself, I use a platform called Feedly to try and catch up with various things I'm interested in. I've taken the RSS feeds for each of the major blogs in the tech community and created my own little folder to go in and read.
If you were a real MVP, you would use something like Flow, Microsoft Flow, to send yourself emails when new posts are made.
No, I don't want emails. I just want to go to my publication thing.
Yeah, but then you have to think about it. I want the information to come to me. I want it to be... Because if I have to think about it, I'll never do it. Like if I have to think, oh, I need to go look at the blogs today, I won't do it. But
Flow does have that one where you can send yourself a notification as well, so it doesn't have to be an email. It just goes in your mobile.
Oh, that's correct. Yeah.
True.
Well, certainly.
But we do feel that this is something that should have been talked about. Because it did cause some questions, not just between us as IT pros, but in organizations, saying, what does that mean?
It's huge. Yeah, I mean, this is something that every user who uploads a document is going to see, and any user who uses a document library with new content is going to see. And it's like there's no indication as to what in the world that those little eyelashes are. Yep. And interesting. It's a small gleam that looks like eyelashes. Yes.
And that's almost like I got you there, man. Here's that. But to get into some of the not technical detail, it is a document that has been uploaded in the last 1 to 2 days. So it is saying, here's a new item. You might be interested in it. It has been surfaced using the graph. I guess you don't need to really if it's
no, I don't think so.
Why would you need the graph? But graph has definitely been used to show when something is being popular and accessed a lot.
Yeah.
So yet another way to say here's a new file that you might want to look at. Of course, if you are using the default team site web part that's on the modern sites now, it shows recent activity, then your new files are going to appear there as well, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yep. As a tile. All good. So that probably rounds us out for the Office 365 Message Center the week that was. That's one of our observations. This was a pre-recorded show. We thank you for joining us, and we are there in the chat. We've probably made some smart aleck comments and engaged with some of you. But yeah, we'll see you again next week. And thanks again, Dan, for joining me as usual.
Thank you, sir.
See you next week. Bye for now.